Good evening, and thank you for taking the time to listen to a literature review of how social emotional learning affects first grade students' well-being. Throughout this presentation, we will discuss what is social emotional learning and how is it defined, what is the importance of social and emotional learning, challenges with teaching social emotional learning, what is well-being and how is it defined, what are some factors that impact well-being at school, and how COVID-19 has affected well-being and social-emotional learning in young children. So what is social-emotional learning? Social-emotional learning is a learning block that is designed to focus on three areas such as cognitive regulation, emotional processes, and social and interpersonal skills. The Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, also known as CASEL, defines social-emotional learning as learning skills in the 5 areas of self-awareness, social awareness, improving self-management, learning responsible decision-making, and improving decision-making. The goal is for social-emotional learning to improve children's skills in all 5 of these areas in various settings, such as in the classroom, at school, with families, caregivers, and in the community. With such a push for integrating social-emotional learning in the classroom, we should learn why it is so important. Social-emotional learning, also known as SEL, has shown to positively affect academic achievement in the present, in the future, and for future employment. SEL also improves mental health and reduces maladjustment in life. SEL improves self-efficacy, positive attitudes, emotional regulation, resilience, and overall well-being. It also shows to reduce emotional distress and is preventative from children getting involved in crime, substance abuse, and aggression. Lastly, SEL in the classroom helps to create a classroom community, which helps to focus on internal social skills or self-awareness and give the students a feeling of value, respect, and shared emotional connection. SEL in the classroom community also teaches students pro-social behaviors and how to improve peer and teacher relationships. Despite the clear positives associated with SEL in schools, there are challenges as well. Teachers feel that they are not given enough or any preparation in their teacher preparatory classes to utilize SEL in the classroom. Additionally, teachers find it challenging to incorporate strategies for SEL throughout the day in learning blocks. Teachers state that there are limited resources and a lack of time to implement SEL in each day. Teachers are feeling pressure to focus on other academic areas such as math and ELA, that the SEL block often goes on the back burner or is squeezed in as they are able to. And lastly, teachers feel that they are overwhelmed by students that require a significant amount of SEL support because they are unsure or lack the skills and knowledge to help them. What is well-being? Well-being is a social construct that can be defined in many ways. For the purpose of this study, well-being is defined according to the PERMA 5 pillars of well-being. This includes showing positive emotions, engagement, having positive relationships, living your life with meaning, and having feelings of accomplishment. There are various factors within the school setting that impact well-being. A positive school climate, a feeling of connectedness with the school, having positive peer and teacher relationships, having teachers that have high expectations for student achievement, extracurricular involvement, and teacher support are all factors that impact school well-being. So why are we examining SEL and how it affects well-being right now? As we are coming right out of the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been significant effects on overall well-being, which would suggest a greater need for SEL in schools. Furthermore, SEL in schools has been affected by the pandemic due to school closures. Regarding well-being, the COVID-19 pandemic has created considerable emotional and social strain, so much so that it has had effects on mental health that are similar to PTSD. It has been suggested that teachers should begin to use trauma-informed strategies in the classroom to help manage the strain that the pandemic has had on well-being. Social emotional learning has been affected by the school closures that came from the pandemic. There is a natural SEL growth that comes from being with peers and authority figures at school, which has suffered from the school closures. The virtual education model that was required during the health crisis created significant barriers of interaction for students. Simply put, all people, children and adults alike, were isolated and experienced a setback in social skills and experienced emotional strain. That being said, it is suggested that teachers should model SEL in the classroom through trauma-informed strategies such as building trust, making connections in relationships, understanding underlying needs, embodying patience, and a calm demeanor in the classroom. The compiling research suggests that social emotional learning curriculums will affect overall well-being for students at school when a regular social emotional learning routine is put into place. There is considerable need for students following the COVID-19 pandemic related to their well-being. Thus, SEL is critical in today's schools. Thank you so much for listening to my overview of social emotional learning and well-being.